And Adam, one of the things that I do like on the front side is that he does keep, his center of gravity, his body, tilted behind that front side. He does a good job with that, which is going to give him, he's going to stabilize his head, keep him behind the ball, gives the front leg more leverage, to work against the ground, and put energy into the swing. So there's good tilt in his swing, and that's a good thing. Um, but you also can notice how much, he's really flying open with that front foot. That's got to get, under control. We can allow for some opening at the front foot, uh, but this, he's really trying to, that's almost initiating his swing. Hey, I'm going to get to this ball by turning open with the front foot. A lot of times that starts with fear. Kids get into a habit of, hey, well, let me make sure I can get out of the way of the ball, stepping out, flying open, and then they launch their swing after that. So we need to get that kind of under control. It's taken his body weight, the direction of his energy is out to his left. Um, and it doesn't provide as strong a base to drive weight into. The knee opens up and it flexes in that direction. So we want to stay, we want to just feel like that back leg is driving into that posted front side, right here, and not do a whole lot with that front leg in terms of, hey, I'm going to fly open and try to get to the ball. When we land, we're basically in the same place and position. Now, Adam does a pretty good job of staying square there. You'll find a lot of times if somebody opening up that bad, the shoulder really starts to come with it. But he does stay fairly square with the shoulders here. Um, but we really want to get that front side under control. Adam's head stays back. He doesn't have a whole lot of head movement, stays behind the ball. And I think he does pretty good through there. Now, after contact, I think the head kind of, well, right about there, head maybe moving back a little bit. We don't want to feel like we're looking back here to hit the ball. We want to feel like our eyes are out front. We see the ball out front. And we want to just keep our head back behind the ball. We don't want to try to look back at home plate. Okay, so with the front side, we want to keep the tilt and stop flying open there and just keep our head back behind the ball. Okay, let's take a look at the back arm. Um, And again, you can see some major differences there in the way that he is loading that back arm and the way the back arm approaches the baseball. You know, essentially, again, during the 1-2 phases or the load and attack phase, we want that elbow to lift and then slot to the ball while staying very bent. Okay, staying very bent and keeping that hand, in a position that faces out towards the pitcher with the barrel stacked, on top of the hands here. So, I mean, you can see how the barrel is stacked, and you can see how the top hand is facing out here. Now, you can see what Adam does, as soon as he lands, you've got palm facing straight up in the air, okay, and the barrel is laid back here. Now, the hand has traveled, a longer path than it needs to, and he's also created a much heavier bat. The farther this bat gets away from being on top of the hands, in other words, the more the barrel is exposed to gravity, the heavier it's going to become. Good hitters keep the barrel stacked, on top of the hands, which keeps it light, and then from there they actually, use gravity to help them in a sense. They dropping the barrel on the ball, okay, instead of trying to work against gravity. And so Adam's, major issue is that instead of trying to, load up the arm by extending it, widening out here, reaching back with the right arm to try to, kind of get some energy into it or get it prepared to, throw the barrel. What he wants to do is essentially, if you look at Adrian or Drew down there, essentially lift the elbow, okay, while keeping the elbow bent to load up. And then we want to be able to take that elbow to the ball, keep it bent, okay, keep the elbow very bent with the hand still facing the pitcher. So in other words, we want to be able to move that elbow up into the ball without widening it and without the hand changing position very much. And you can see Adam, very much, there's a whole lot of change going on there from where he starts, to where he winds up in terms of the elbow has widened and the hand is palm up. Okay, strong kid, against 10-year-old pitching an aluminum bat, he's going to be fine with that. But that's not where we want to be, long term. That's going to make catching up with hard throwers that might be bigger and stronger than him very difficult. Okay, we want that hand to be right here, and then that hand is going to then throw from the shoulder. That hand's going to throw from the shoulder as it whips out into extension, making contact, and then that top hand snaps over the bat just after contact. Okay, so we've got to learn to lift and slot that elbow with the hand in the same position and the elbow bent. This really is a secret or a key or maybe even a holy grail to baseball. And I call it kind of the baseball arm is to be able to load this arm. And again, you've got a long bone here in your upper arm, the humerus, is to load that arm by lifting and turning the bone inward, internally rotating the humerus. As that bone lifts, is turning inward to load that way, as opposed to reaching back and extending. And this is the same way that an infielder gets the ball, a high-level infielder, professional infielder, gets the ball out of the glove, or a catcher. They get the ball out of the glove by lifting and turning that bone in, not by reaching straight back with the arm. Okay? And then just like the infielder or the catcher, that bone then turns outward. Okay? And as that bone turns outward, okay, this slotting here, this keeps the hands back. Just like when a thrower, the bone turns outward and the ball lays back behind him. But in both cases, for the thrower, for the good thrower, the elbow is very bent when this happens. Okay? And again, for the hitter, we want that hand to be right there in the same place and position. It keeps the bat in its lightest position, and it keeps his hands in the best position for the shortest path to the ball. Okay? So again, learning to move your arm in this way as a baseball player, to load by turning the bone in, and to unload, to begin the unload by turning the bone out and keeping the elbow bent. That's just a critical move. And from here, you just really fire the top hand. And by firing the top hand, that's going to cause the lead arm to extend out into the ball, contact, and then that top hand is going to snap over the top. And really the thought of snapping the hand over the top from the shoulder, just the thought of throwing that hand over is going to create this type of throwing pattern with the arm. Okay? Now again, at contact, we're going to be in a palm up, palm down position, but immediately after that, we want those hands to snap over. The hands snapping over right after contact is an indicator, of whip effect, that we have given everything to the bat head. And you can see here, Adams' hands don't snap over as quickly. He's contact here, and he's, kind of dragging through. And what that means is that his arms are still contact. His arms are still kind of dragging through at contact. In other words, he's spread his energy out, throughout his hands and his arms, whereas when you look at Drew and Adrian, they've given, nearly all of the energy to the bat head as the rest of the body is motionless. In other words, the arms stop moving or come close to a halt right as he's making contact with the ball, whereas Adams' hands continue to drag through. And you can see here, especially this clip in the upper left, his hands don't finish until they're way back there around him, whereas when you look at Drew and Adrian, their hands are finishing, right in front of his chest here much sooner. They're finished there. Now look at Adam hanging on around the corner.